Today's video, we are going to compare 3 free AirPods apps that I have been using over the years, months on different Android phones that will give you pop-up animation when you connect AirPods to an Android phone or Samsung phone. Okay, so the 3 apps we're looking at today, and these are all apps that I will recommend that you use, especially that they're free. One is the Andropods. So the Andropods is my favorite out of the 3, and I'm just going to say that right off the bat. But of course, we will experiment with the other 2 to give you an idea of what is what before installing any of these apps on your Android device. Okay, so this is Andropods. That's what it looks like in the Play Store. The other one is known as MaterialPods. Now, MaterialPods once upon a time was my go-to, but after a while, when you have it and the pop-up animation shows, you're gonna see ads showing up. And this seems to work well on certain Android phones, and some Android phones, you're gonna get those ads, okay? And the last one would be PodsBattery. This is the most recent one I started using, and I do like it so far, but we'll dive into it. And again, we'll see which one is the one for you or which one to go ahead and install. Remember, these are all free and they all give you pop-up animation. You don't need the pro versions for any of them to get pop-up animation, as well as I'm not affiliated with any of these apps. So let's go ahead and do it. So first I want to go ahead and pair up my AirPods. These are Gen 2, and I'm going to use the AirPods Gen 2, not the AirPods Pro, as they will most likely have a higher compatibility rate with these apps, okay? So I'll go ahead and do that. If you want to go ahead and experiment for yourself, go ahead and pair up your AirPods. So I have my AirPods all paired up and set, ready to go here. So I'm gonna close it out so that it can be disconnected for the time being. Now I'm gonna start with the first ever used AirPods app that I've used, and that's the MaterialPods. Now MaterialPods and other apps, as you open them up for the first time, you will need to give it permission to certain settings, all right? So when you're here, if you want the notifications, that's up to you, but I would recommend using that so that the pop-up will show, because it does count as a notification, okay? And it's gonna give you a little heads up here, application works correctly, can't really see what that says, but go ahead and give it permission. You need to give it permission to appear on top, which is your pop-up overlay animation here, and just tap here in the gray section if you can't really see what's going on, and check permission, and then allow, and then the last one is the battery optimization, okay, and then allow, okay? So as you enter here, you're gonna see these different set of AirPods. So the Gen 2 for the Pro, regular, Gen 3, Gen 2, Gen 1, and all of those here, okay? And I would recommend choosing the exact one that you're about to pair, okay? Now, if you somewhat don't get a chance to select any of these here, you can always come back. But so far you can see there is different themes, unlike the other apps itself, okay? So if you didn't catch that part and you want to change the type of AirPods you have, make sure you're in the center part, tap here, and you'll be able to choose the one you want, okay? Now for the settings, you'll tap on this icon right here. That's going to take you to this section here, which is the tuning section. And you can see the Pro version will give you access to all of these here. But if you just want the pop-up animation and check the battery status of your AirPods, just go here and make sure you have the default pop-up set, okay? So now that we're done with all this here, let's just close out everything, and it's time to test it out. You'll notice the little icon in the status bar here letting you know it's currently active. So we'll go ahead now and pop this open to see how it works for the first time. And we'll wait for it. And as always, like every other tutorial I've done with these apps, if they don't show up the first time, go ahead and restart your phone and try again, okay? So I restarted my phone, and let's try this again. And last time I used these MaterialPods, they are going to be more compatible with older Android models. Notice how that just showed up here for us and it disappeared. So this is this here, okay? So it's gonna try to read it for you, and then it's gonna say loading ads. So definitely right now, we don't want that. We don't wanna go around showing off with pop-up animation, and then it's gonna show us an ad, okay? So as of right now, MaterialPods, of course, if you like the ads, and that's up to you, definitely not for me, but this is accurate because I just finished fully charging my AirPods, all right? Now let's move on to the next app, okay? This next one here is the recently discovered one. And of course, it's been around for a while, but it's just me discovering it recently. It's the PodsBattery app. As you enter into it for the first time, you'll have to agree. And same thing, you'll need to give it permission. Okay, so you'll have to go to take a look and then allow it and then allow it and then finish. Okay, this is going to show up here for you, and you want to tap on the settings right there. That's going to take you to the main settings of the app itself. This one seems somewhat to be easier to use compared to MaterialPods. You have the headset model here. As you go into it, you can choose the auto. It will detect it, but it doesn't really work all the time. I've tested it out with this and my AirPods Pro, and it doesn't detect it. So that's just me, okay? That's my phone. This is the S22 Ultra, by the way. So you want to go to AirPods and choose the type of AirPods you have. So this one is the AirPods 2. And then once that's done, that's set. And let me just point out something that I find really interesting, and I wish my AirPods copy, the fake AirPods, still works, but for some reason I can't get them to charge. But it says copy here, and it allows you to have pop-up animation for the copy. And according to some of the reviews on the Play Store, some users claim that it does work. So check it out yourself. Now, after you're done with here, go to the pop-up section here, which you want to turn this on. This is going to give you the pop-up animation for the app itself. So turn it on, be sure it's on. And if you want to set the closing of the pop-up animation, you can have it set to close out automatically. And notice this option is free, unlike MaterialPods. So you can choose never close, but once you tap away from the pop-up animation, it's gonna close out. So you can leave it at that, okay? Now, same thing goes again. We'll close that out. And if it doesn't work the first time, simply just restart your phone and it's gonna show up for you, okay? So here we go now. Let's see how that's gonna work here. Wait for it to connect and see if it's gonna register it. From what I've remembered or how I recall this app working, it does have a delay for it to register the AirPods. Okay, so again, let's restart the phone. So the phone restarted, and now let's test it out again. And of course, be sure your AirPods is already connected prior to accessing the app itself. Okay, so here we go. Let's wait for it. There you go. And it's going to show up, and it's going to take a few seconds to register, but once you have it set, you're gonna see it. Now, I do prefer this 10 times more compared to the MaterialPods with the ads. This one doesn't have the ads, but if you really wanna show off to your friends or really feel like this is an iPhone, this might not work because of this setting icon right there, okay? Now, this is gonna have a hard time trying to connect. And one thing I gotta say about this app, and I noticed with the Samsung phone, it keeps disconnecting the AirPods and then reconnecting. But I like how when you take them out of the case, it's going to register just the AirPods only. And it's the same for the MaterialPods, but again, MaterialPods did have its funny way of having the app ads show on top, which no one would want, right? And then just tap away for that to show. And then finally, we're going to move on to the Andropods app. Now with the Andropods here, as you tap on it for the very first time, you'll see these three settings that you'll need to give permission as always in order to proceed, okay? So of course, show overlay, that's gonna give you the pop-up animation. It's gonna tell you where to go next, turn that on. And once you're here, just back out of that, go to the Bluetooth, give it permission, allow, and then finally the notifications, okay? And just allow it, okay? Now that you're here, next up, you wanna activate the service. So the service is gonna allow you to actually use the app itself. So turn this on, and you'll notice this little thing right here that says Andropods, okay? And then now for the model. So this one has a more simple layout, but I like the fact that it works just way better than the other two that we've seen so far, okay? So AirPods 1 and 2, it's gonna work for Gen 1 and Gen 2, and then AirPods Pro also works for Gen 2 AirPods Pro, tested already, so you're good to go. And then once you have that set here, be sure these three are enabled for the pop-up animation, okay? So now we'll just close out everything and let's see how well this is going to work for us, okay? So you see if we need to restart the phone or not, and you can see for yourself. I didn't need to restart the phone. It works great, smooth layout, and very similar to that of the iPhone pop-up animation, and no settings, no ads. And it just makes me wonder why the other apps just couldn't do that. Okay, so Andropods, you're good to go. This AirPods itself, it disconnects and it reconnects by itself, but it works best with this app so far. So if you've been looking for an app that really has that pop-up animation, and you just want something simple, free, definitely the Andropods is the way to go. And until these other two apps does fix the little issues that we pointed out, then for now, I recommend Andropods. And hey, if you have better experience with the other apps, let me know in the comments section so others can see. Like and sub.